Hello peeps and welcome back to Material Energy Cubed. I believe this is episode 32. Last episode I was working on setting up some automation for a solar power plant. The first part of my power plant. And as usual I was overcomplicating things, so let's get back to basics and make things a little simpler. Basically what I need is I need a way for this thing to tell me when it's empty. Right now we have 87,000 power in here. And that corresponds to a power level of 2 on this. So, what we need to do is we need a way for this thing to tell us, hey, I'm empty, you can start genning. Now, this one here, this setup here with comparator into redstone into repeater tells us when this one is full. And this one is full, so we are going to have to set something up right here because we need that to only output power when it is power level 15. We don't want it to output power when it's like 14 or 13. And goofing around with this off camera, it appears that approximately 30,000 power equals 1 notch of power output for the redstone. So, if we take a look here, this is now outputting power 0 because we just dropped below 30,000. If I break this, as this thing starts charging up, once we pass 30,000, we're going to see power coming into there. It's actually like 34,000, but it's roughly 30. So, we don't need to get super complicated with this. Now, what I need to do, though, is I need to have the right side turn on at the right time. And that, I think, is where I have things messed up at the moment. I think I have this backwards. So we're going to break this. We're going to break that. We're going to take a look and see what we need to do here. Now, what I need to do, excuse me for just a second. Sorry, I'm still very much under the weather. What I think I need to do here is I need to have this one reporting when it's full. And in order to do that, I'm going to have a redstone signal on this. In order to do that, without triggering anything else, that's where I'm going to have that block of redstone, which I chopped out and it fell. So I'll have to go down and get it in a second here. And then this one, far enough away that it's not going to get triggered, I need to say, hey, I'm empty. So let's go down to the base level, run over here, where I have that power plant built up, and that redstone block should still be floating around down here. It is, it's right there. Man, I wish I could get over this. I don't know what the hell this is, but it's been making my life miserable for the past going on 3 weeks now. Alright, so this one I need telling me, hey, I am empty, or I'm full. I need you to switch off. Or I need you to switch on the circuit to discharge. That's where we're going to want to have the redstone block and a piece of redstone on top of it in order to shut that off. So now this will only output power if it is full. It won't output power if it's anywhere less than full, because redstone 15 compared to redstone whatever it is right now, this one wins, so this side is taking precedence. Now, in order to get this to connect, I just need a repeater there and a piece of redstone there. Because when this outputs, it's going to output 15. And that will trigger this circuit. Now, I need a way for it to tell me it's empty. That is where we're going to employ the NOT gate. If it is outputting any power level at all, then it's obviously not empty. So we want it to do this. Just like that. Now that might be getting a little long, so I'm going to put a repeater in here just to be sure. And now we just wait for this thing to fill up. Now it's not going to fill anything right now. And these might actually start discharging pretty soon. Yeah, see, that one's discharging, that one's discharging. So now these things are all going to discharge. They'll start recharging in the morning. Let's go sleep through the night so that we can get this on an appropriate cycle. And then while that works, I'm going to set up the next part of this build. I have 4 power sources in mind here. The first power source is solar, and we've got the basics for that set up right now, although I do want to make it a little safer. I'll probably do that later. How are we doing over here? 7. Almost there. Okay, the second part of this build that I want to try is I want compression dynamos. Now, there are 2 possible fuel sources I can run compression dynamos off of. I could run them off of liquefied coal, because getting coal is not that much of a problem. However, I would have to either go mining for it, I would have to synthesize it, and synthesizing a coal takes 8 carbon. So I would have to break down quite a bit of wood in order to get that much carbon. And it would leave me less carbon to do other stuff with, so I don't want to go that route. That's why I was breeding the blue mayho saplings. I'm going to set up fertilizers. Not fertilizers, fermenters. We've made these before, so I'm just going to make probably like 3 of them real quick. There we go, 3 fermenters. And we're going to need a still. At least 1. I don't know exactly how many we're going to need yet. I'm going to have to tweak this a little bit on and off, but this is what we're going to need to get started. Now, if we take a look, the fermenters each require 15 Minecraft joules per tick. That means that these fermenters are going to take 150 RF per tick to run. It takes 2 compression dynamos to run 1 fermenter. Alright? That's actually a fairly large amount of power. However, the output from 1 fermenter running into a still should be enough to supply 3 or 4 compression dynamos. Let's go ahead and make our compression dynamos. Those are tin. And I already have 2. So we're going to go ahead and we need transmission coils. We're going to make 5 of these to start. And then we need conduit. I actually have a lot of conduit on me, so let's go ahead and set this up. Now, I'm eventually going to need a way to hook it into the ME system too, but we'll get there. The ME system actually runs down right through here in order to connect to that, but remember that this is not powered full time. This one, however, is now, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to connect into this part of the ME system. I want to have my conduits running into here from the ceiling. That way, I'm never having to worry about, you know what, one of these days I'll actually get my head on straight and be able to record something without having to think about it too much. 2, 3, 4, 5. Without having to worry about, I can't even remember what I was trying to say now. So we're not even going to try. Okay, this requires water and another source of liquid fuel. Well, the other source of liquid fuel is what we're working on now. I actually want to have this running in from the bottom. we're going to break through the floor. And I think you can put multi-blocks over these things in order to kind of hide them. So that's what we're going to try. I'm going to put the fermenter setup right over here. And the fermenter is also going to require a source of water. So I'm going to set the fermenters up over here. And then I'm going to set the still up right here. Actually, I want the still closer to the compression dynamos because I want them to feed directly. So we're going to set the fermenters up over here. We're going to set the still up right here. We need to run a conduit under all of these. I'm going to have to make some more conduit before all said and done, I'm sure. And then I want the conduit to come out. I don't want it to connect to that conduit, so I'm going to bring it out one more. Barely enough to run it for the moment. Alright, these things are going to get power. Now, I need a way to feed this saplings, water, and fertilizer. I can also use compost if fertilizer becomes an issue, which it actually might at some point here, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. And this energy cell is now constantly discharging. I don't really like that, but how are we doing out here? This thing is almost full. So what we should see when this thing goes full is we should see this circuit turn on. Now when that circuit turns on, I'm going to go ahead and connect up the last of this circuit to get everything discharging, which means I need to get some redstone. Fluffernutter. Fluffs. Why you howling? Oh, you got your ducky, that's why you're howling. You're walking around trying to figure out where to take the ducky. Okay, we just saw that light up. That means that this is completely full. So we're going to connect this. This is going to turn the redstone signal on for everything here. And it's going to start discharging all of these solar generators. These solar generators are all going to dump their power into this resonant energy cell. So now we're seeing the power go up pretty dramatically. This will continue until these drop below 30,000, which is effectively empty. Once they drop below 30,000, they will switch back into charging mode until they get full, and then they'll switch back into discharge, back into charge. They will continue that behavior basically until the end of time now. Or until the cell gets full, at which point they'll get stuck in full mode until one of them drains enough to be empty, and then it'll just keep going. Alright. Now, what do we need to do here? And I'm eventually going to have to change the power setup down there, because I'm planning on having an entire bank of these things. But for right now, I'm just doing one. We need to make some more hardened energy cells. So we need some leadstone, or not hardened energy cells, we need hardened conduit. So we're going to make some leadstone conduit, and then we're going to make hardened conduit out of it. There we go. And you know what, let's go ahead and make this last one. There we go. 62 leadstone energy, or hardened energy conduits. We're also going to need some export buses. We're going to need 3. We're going to need some fluid ducts. We're going to need a liquid transfer node. we're going to need some of this transfer pipe. We're going to need 2 buckets of water. So I'll have to go fill one up. There we go. We're going to need some blue maho saplings. We're going to need a piece of this fertilizer to jumpstart the process. And we're going to need some pneumatic servos. I have the crescent hammer, so that should be everything we need. Okay, these fertilizers have to be supplied with water. The easiest way to do that is to just create an infinite water source, which I'm just going to do right behind the still. Like that. For the moment, we're going to pop a block right into there. Liquid transfer node on top of that. Break that, and now that's going to fill with liquid for us. We need to fill the compression dynamos with some of that liquid in order to make sure that these stay full with water at all times. And we're going to want to put some speed upgrades and maybe some mining upgrades in there too, because we need to make absolutely sure we're not going to run into any sort of fluid transfer problem. Now, I do not want it to be putting water into the still. So, in order to do that, well, it's actually not going to put water into the still, but I don't like the way that looks, so we're going to do that. That is going to allow it to put water in the fermenter. Is it going to allow it to put water in the fermenter? Let's put the water somewhere. 6, 7, 8,000 millibuckets of water. Okay, we definitely need to increase the seek rate on that, because we need to fill these fermenters faster than it is. Export buses on the top. These are going to be set into stack mode. It's going to be told to export a stack of fertilizer and a stack of blue maho saplings. These are going to create biofuel, biogas. We need those to export the biogas into the still. And again, I may end up having to change this off camera. This is just a preliminary build, so if this doesn't work exactly perfectly immediately, forgive me. It will work once we're done. Okay, now that fill with water, I didn't want it to do that. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to... Oh, how are we going to do this? We need to disconnect that. We need to put something on here to drain the water out. So just a tank. We'll do that. All of my tanks are full. Out of glass panes, really? I'm out of glass. Son of a bitch. I know I'm not out of sand. Got some gold, finally. And I discovered something, and you might actually be able to see it from where we're at. If you look out there, way off in the distance here, you might see something you weren't expecting to see. I don't think I can see it from here. And I'm not even sure that's what it is, but you may have just noticed something spawn down there that you weren't expecting to see. Those are zombie pigmen. The mushroom biome apparently spawns nether mobs, specifically pigmen and magma slimes. So, if I set up a drop trap, or probably more likely an iron spike trap, I should be able to get an infinite supply of gold from them. Which is good because gold gives experience when cooked in the abstractor over there. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a couple tanks. I keep going too far down. Okay, and let's pop a tank on here and let that absorb all of the water out of that fluiduct. Now we can just break it. So the fluiduct is now empty. We need it exporting from there. Now, all we need to do is connect the system. We should have plenty of ME cable to do that. Let's see, where is my cable network? It's right here. So, let's go ahead and connect up our cable going to the ceiling. I want to try and keep it connected to the ceiling as much as possible so that it's not getting in my way if I'm trying to walk around down here. Alright, that's all connected. These fermenters should fire up instantly, and they are going to produce tons of biomass. And the still is actually not going to be able to keep up with the amount of biomass that's being produced by 3 fermenters. So I'm going to need a bunch of stills, actually. I may actually need more stills than fermenters, because these fermenters are now totally jam full already. So I'm going to want probably maybe 7, 8, 9 different stills. And if we take a look in here, this compression dynamo is now running on ethanol. It's filling up quite nicely. Now the rest of these will fill up once this first one gets full. So these things are going to start powering up sooner or later. And we are actually generating power still. We're still discharging from here. Now if we come over here, we should be getting close enough. Well, 79k. That one's a 334k. Wow. 320k. So I don't know what's going on with the discharge rate here. What the shit? Do I have a spot here where things can spawn? Hi. That's a very nice power plant you have there. How? There's no place here he could have spawned. What the shit? Unless he can spawn up there. No, that's not possible. Where the hell did he come from? I don't know. It's stupid. Whatever. I'm sure we'll figure it out later. Okay, now 46,000, 45, 44. What we should see happen is when this hits 30k, which will happen very soon, it will trigger this circuit. Or actually, no, we have to wait for this one, don't we? Yeah, this is our readout. So, when this hits 30k, which it's going to take a little while, this circuit will trigger. It will take this down to a power of 0, which will turn this torch on, which will flip this part of the circuit to on, which will turn off this redstone circuit, which will start the entire system charging. We're at 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81. This is actually going pretty fast. I wish I knew why this wasn't discharging properly. It's because I'm using hardened energy conduit. I need redstone energy conduit on this because it's only capable of transmitting up to 400 RF a tick. So now that some of these are starting to empty, it's going to discharge faster. Yeah, I need to switch this to redstone energy conduit. Wasn't thinking. I might actually just want to switch everything to redstone. This should be happening very shortly. There we go. Boom. The circuit has now turned off. These are all switched back into charge mode. These will stay in charge mode until this generator here fills completely, and then it'll switch back into discharge mode. So, we have an automated power plant over here. Now, right now, we're actually producing about as much power as we're using. And that's just off one compression dynamo. Now, that's because these things aren't really using power. It's just the still using power at the moment. And it's producing biogas as fast, or biofuel as fast as it can. So yeah, we're going to need a lot more stills. I'm going to have to rework this. I'll see if I can figure out the perfect balance off camera. I'm thinking maybe try 4 stills to 3 fermenters. I can't remember. I figured out the perfect balance before once, but I can't remember what it was. And then I'll replace this all with redstone energy conduit off camera also. It's not like redstone's hard to get these days. Although electrum's kind of a pain in the ass. I'll have to do some gold mining. Alright, so that's part 2 of the power plant build. Part 3 of the power plant build. This one's going to be... Well, part 3 of the power plant build is just backup generators with heated redstone. So that I can just dump some heated redstone in and, you know, call it good. How's my power here? 77k, or 7.7k rather. Yeah, we're good. The last part of this build is going to make use of these. Now, these things are going to be used for emergency power generation only. These things are ridiculously dangerous. If we take a look at this, it will damage anything in a 10 block radius. It produces more energy than most systems can transfer. So, what we are going to have to do is we're going to have to figure out a way to transfer the energy from a nether star generator fast enough to keep it from filling up. Now, the first thing we're going to need to test this is a nether star. And probably some armor. Because I don't feel like dying to it. Okay, how much helium do I have? 1. Not enough. I think it takes 6, right? 1 nether star takes 4 stacks of helium, so 8 stacks of hydrogen, not lead. I need to get some more hydrogen soon. Not like hydrogen is hard to come by. Hey, you be nice. Nope. No bink. Not while I'm recording, buddy. Okay, there's our 4 stacks of helium. We need 3 stacks of hydrogen. Is it oxygen? I don't make enough of these. Carbon and Copernicum. 1 stack of carbon. Half a stack of calcium. And half a stack of uranium. Is there any place where I have just a... No, that's berkelium. I'm actually starting to run low on uranium. And now this ain't gonna stack. That's amazing. Wait, 12, 24, 32? That's way too much. I'm gonna have to make some more of these leaded chests. Or just, you know, process a crap ton of uranium. Make a bunch of Copernicum, call it good. Alright. Uranium fused with calcium gives you this Copernicum crap. Now, here's the downside. This isn't going to stack anymore. Which makes it very difficult for me to give this thing the amount of crap that it needs. So I actually have to do this with a legit half stack. Oh wait, I have Copernicum. I have quite a bit of Copernicum, actually. Now I gotta figure out something to do with that Copernicum. I'll probably just atom smash it. Recombine it. Okay, I actually don't need to do anything special with this at the moment. I just need the recipe for the Nether Star, which I had in the deconstruction handbook. It's actually already active. If we put the deconstruction handbook, by the way, 4 phosphorus, 1 glowstone. Nice to know, huh? That gives us another star. We still have 32 Copernicum left. Alright, now, the Nether Star produces dangerous amounts of power. We need a way to transfer that power safely. With the amount of power that this thing produces, I have an idea. We're going to get a transfer node, energy. And we're going to get ender receptors and ender transmitters. Alright? What we're going to do here, and I'm actually going to go find the resonant energy cells. I'm going to set the power plant up properly, because this is going to produce a crap ton of energy to get us kickstarted. So, I have my hardened energy conduits right here. What I need to do is I want to have 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to have our resonant energy cells set up something like this. No. Come back here. No! There we go. Alright. Now, this is going to be our power input from there, right? This is going to be our power input from over here. We're going to set this thing so that it is allowed to discharge only to the bottom, which it's currently set for. It's going to input from every other direction. Here, same thing. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. Right? We're going to put an energy transfer node on the side of that. Just like that. Holding 0 RF, powering 1 connection. We're going to take these receptors and these transmitters. We're going to use 2 transmitters for each channel. We need to rename these things. Enchantment cost of 5, okay. That's fine. We can do this pretty easily. I need food. Alright. let's go ahead and grab a few bullion and get our quest book. Let's do our legendary reward bag for the day. And then let's do an Orhalicum orb. $50 Cinnabar. Oh, tasty. That's actually a good reward. Orhalicum orb and deep iron orb. Ping, 40. And then we'll save the deep iron until we burn these off. Alright, so, Ender Transmitter. We're going to set this to Nether Freak 1. This one's also going to be Nether Freak 1. Because the more transmitters you have on, the faster it can transfer energy. These two are going to be Nether Freak 2. Now we need to rename the receptors the same way. Nether Freak 1. Actually, you know what? We only need 2 receptors. So this one we can rename to Nether Freak 2. It's going to cost us a little more for the extra rename, but we're fine. And I need another... I actually need probably 3 more of these energy nodes. So we're going to put the blue meadow sapling away, we're going to put the redstone away, the hard energy conduits, the fluid ducts, all that crap. We're going to get 3 more of these. We're going to go too far down again. And on this thing here, we're going to put Ender receptor for Nether Freak 2 in there. Behind that, we're going to put another transfer energy node. And in there, we're going to put the receptor for Nether Freak 1. Okay. Now, we'll seal this off. And we'll cut our way back down. Now we're going to take this thing and we're actually going to go a fairly significant distance away from our base. We're going to go over near this bedrock thing. And right here, we're going to put down this nether star generator. This thing scares the crap out of me. In here, we're going to put Nether Freak 2. And in here, we're going to put Nether Freak 1. Now, I am not going to load this nether star by hand. Because it will kill me. What we're going to do instead is we're going to get an item duct. We're going to get a feeder chest. And we're going to get how do you make the big button? Four regular buttons. We're going to get a big button. I'm going to run over next to this thing. and from a safe distance. And in my experience, you want to try and go for 16 or so. I have played around with these things before. They are deadly, to say the least. We're going to put down stone bricks with a torch on top. We don't really need the torch, but we'll put that up there. I'm not even sure if the torch will survive this. We're going to put this nether star in here, and we're going to push the feed button. Are you kidding me? Oh, there it went. Now, when this thing triggers, you'll know. I'm actually going to, you know what, for the sake of teaching, I'm going to go into creative, and we're going to go watch this thing work. When this thing gets a nether star, you'll know. Where is it? Come on. Feed it the nether star. There we go. Look at how fast that filled up. And this thing is still generating power for 2 minutes. It actually cannot even transmit the power fast enough. Like, we're sending so much power here. I'm not even sure if I can increase the speed at which it's transmitting. I suppose I could do it with more ender transmitters, but I don't have enough ender pearls for that. It takes 5 ender pearls for 1 transmitter. So I can make 2 more. But yeah, it's just a crazy, crazy amount of power. I'm actually going to have to see how many of these stupid transmitters it's going to take to be able to send power fast enough. Another freak 1. Another freak 2. And I am wearing no armor. So let's see if I can survive this long enough to put these things in. If not, I'll have to go back for my stuff in a minute. After this thing finishes running. Because when I get close to this thing, it's going to start to kill me. And I mean, it's not a minute amount of damage. Is it still running? No, it's not running. Okay. So, it actually burned through all of that power that fast. So I may need, like, 30 or 40 of these things in here to transmit energy faster than this thing can produce it. Because you saw how fast that thing drained once this thing stopped running. This thing produces just a ridiculous, crazy amount of power. Like, I am not even sure that a resonant energy cell can keep up with it. You may need 2, 3, 4, 5 resonant energy cells on there with energy transfer pipes. And multiple energy nodes on the thing in order to be able to transfer it fast enough. That, again, is something I may have to play around with off camera to see if I can come up with the optimal way to do that. Yeah, we're starting to fill up our power banks here. Alright, and I'm at 45 minutes, so we've got 3 compression dynamos running now. These things are still jammed so full, it's unbelievable. And I think that's going to be it for this episode. So, this has been Night Dagger with episode 32 of Material Energy Cubed. I'm going to do a little bit of logistics messing around off camera, see if I can figure out the more optimal ways to do this. See if I can figure out how many stills I'm going to need to keep up with 3 fermenters. See if I can figure out how many compression dynamos I can run off of that. And see if I can figure out a way to better transfer the energy from one of those Nether star generators. See if I can figure out a way to actually keep up with its power production. So, I'll play around a little bit off camera, see what I can come up with. I'll catch you later, peeps.